Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Pro Food World 2021 Manufacturing Innovation Awards. My name is Joyce Fassel, and I'm the Senior Executive Editor at Pro Food World magazine. So just a little bit about Pro Food World before we get started. We're a part of PMMI Media Group, and we're published 6 times a year, and we're distributed to more than 30,000 industry professionals. In addition, you might have seen this around the show, the Processing Zone Showcase. We also produce that. You can also find our daily news updates online, and each week we have an e-newsletter called Joyce's Voice. So you can sign up for that too if you'd like to. It usually comes out Monday or Tuesday of each week. So Pro Food World, all our content focuses on the food and beverage manufacturing industry, innovation, and technology. So before we begin our before we invite our award winners up to the stage, just wanted to go over some background on how the awards are chosen. So eligible projects each year can be major plant expansions, major renovations, greenfield plants, brownfield, major line expansions incorporating groundbreaking technology, new to the industry technology, major plant automation upgrades, food safety upgrades. We also focus on sustainability when we're looking at the awards, and then overall plant efficiency upgrades. Now, the judging criteria is based on high level of technology advancement in processing and packaging machinery. We also look at the level of automation, software, and controls. I mentioned new to the industry, use of technology. We look for major efficiencies and cost savings. How line changeovers are done, flexible manufacturing, food safety, sustainability, maintenance improvements. We also look at the labor factor with, does somebody have an exceptional worker recruitment and engagement program? We look at tools like OEE and lean manufacturing, and also, some of the protocols that were implemented during the COVID-19 pandemic. So our entries are due usually mid-January each year, and for next year's awards, they're going to be due January 17th, 2020. Sorry, went one slide ahead. And for the 2022 awards, the projects must be completed between June of 2020 and December of 2021, so then they can send in their entries in January. So entries should be based on a single plant location. For more information about how to enter the awards, we have a pretty URL. It's pfwgo.to/MIA. Well, here are our winners. We have MWC, Kraft Heinz, and CTI Foods. So congratulations to everybody here. And I'll just give a little overview of each plant. So MWC is recognized for its new 400,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in St. John's, Michigan, which produces about 25% of the state's milk production. Excuse me, processes 25% of the state's milk production. So intellectual property, proven equipment and technology, operational readiness, a seasoned workforce, and the perfect partnerships provided a winning combination to launch MWC's Greenfield Dairy Facility. Kraft Heinz project involves its iconic macaroni and cheese product, and they expanded and modernized their Wausau, Wisconsin facility. And this project includes building upgrades, new liquid and powder handling systems, and a complex cleaning place system to fulfill production needs, providing a production increase of more than 40%. CTI Foods serves the restaurant and food industrial ingredients industry, food service industry, with proteins, soups, sauces, dressings. And in order to automate its labor-intensive filled taco line, special end-of-arm tooling was designed to perform dual picks of the tacos and orientate them in the trays. And this upgrade tremendously improved the production rate to 960 tacos per minute across 4 packaging cells. So for our first presentation, I'd like to welcome George Chappelle. He's Vice President of Dairy Operations for Glanbia Nutritionals to tell us about his award-winning facility.
Okay. I'll do a quick mic check. Yep. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. I get to be the mouthpiece for a lot of work. So I'm going to share just a little bit initially to talk to you about who is MWC, and anybody who has been involved in a greenfield site knows this isn't a team of one. It takes a lot of effort all the way across the entire supply chain, from commercial to marketing to strategy, and it takes a lot of work on a day-to-day effort to get the work done with the contractors to build the plant and get it started. So a couple of quick recognitions as we go through the slides, but we also have here with us today Sean Bond's son, Dan Ritzert, and his team have been such a critical role to the accomplishment of this project. So I'm going to start off and talk to you a little bit about who is MWC, because we'll throw out a bunch of different names and it'll hopefully help tie it all together. MWC is a joint venture that consists of basically two partners. One of them is Glanbia, who is a PLC based out of Kilkenny, Ireland, and the other partner is what we call the milk member, and that consists of DFA and Select Milk. Now both partners have very distinct roles and responsibilities, and it's why it works. It creates a healthy tension across the entire supply chain, from milk on the farm to product to the consumer. Obviously, with this JV, it gives the milk member an opportunity to have a secure place to place their milk, and Glanbia has the opportunity then to take, once the milk arrives in its four walls, to process the milk and produce products, cheese and whey products, that then get sold both within the U.S. and globally. Here's a little bit about Glanbia Nutritionals. Glanbia has three distinct divisions within the PLC. Glanbia Nutritionals is the division where the PLCs are operated out of. And you can see Glanbia Nutritionals has a strong footprint across the entire U.S., both in dairy manufacturing and what we call specialties. And specialties is anything not dairy operation related, such as vitamins, minerals, powder blending, and even recently an acquisition that we're going to get into puffs. This gives more of a global footprint of where Glanbia does business, including its sales offices, and you can see we do have a global footprint. We play heavily in the U.S. We're #1 suppliers of American-style cheese in the U.S. Everybody always asks, what do you do? Well, I'm part of the largest cheese manufacturer that you've never heard of, because all the business that we do is B2B. So all of the products that we make go and end up being an ingredient for somebody else or someone else's package. So MWC, a couple of quick stats. It is almost a $500 million investment on a 120-acre greenfield site. We have roughly 250 employees. The main products that we produce are American-style cheese and high value-add whey protein concentrates, both in WPC80 and WPI, whey protein isolate. Here's some of the operational assumptions we went in. Everybody knows when you start a greenfield site, you better be very clear about what it is that you want at the end. So while you're building it, you can be clear that you know you're on the right path to get there. So we came in with some pretty good knowledge, having had a greenfield site in Clovis, New Mexico called Southwest Cheese, and MWC really is almost a carbon copy of what was originally developed there. So the facility runs 8 million pounds of milk a day, as Joyce shared. That's about 25% of all of the milk produced in the state of Michigan, and Michigan is about the 6th or 7th largest milk producing state in the United States. So it's a fair amount of milk. Most of that milk prior to this plant being built was being shipped outside of the state. So it makes good sense for the milk producers that were there. I'm going to let Dave kind of go into some more of the detail here around what it took to build the plant, but some of the details we make, most of our cheese products are in 40-pound blocks and 6 40-pound blocks. 6 40-pound block looks like a small refrigerator. And all of our products then end up going to another company who's going to slice it, dice it, chunk it, and put it into another package. Our whey protein powders end up in everything from bodybuilding products to anything that you want to supplement for whey protein products. This is kind of a top-down view of the campus, and you can see MWC on the kind of upper left-hand corner. Proliant is one of our partners that we went into this with. One of the byproducts of cheese and whey protein is a product that we call permeate. It's effectively lactose, sugar, and some minerals. And Proliant takes all that, and it's about 2,200 pounds of permeate powder is produced per week through Proliant. So they were building their facility simultaneous to the time that we were building our facility, and we share a lot of similar utilities across the bridge through steam and a pipeline directly from our facility over to theirs. The plant is so large, we had to break it up into different sections. As I mentioned, Shamba & Sons, S&S, we're the general contractor and fantastic partner throughout this project. When we started the project, we went through an RFP process, just a request for bids, and it was the first time that we'd done a project of this size with S&S, and we were very pleased with the outcome. They brought a lot to the table, such as their 3D design and engineering that allowed us to be more efficient in making changes and making sure that we got down right into the detail, so that once we put footprint in or we had to do hole penetrations, we knew exactly where it needed to be. And even down to the 16th of an inch makes a difference on this size of a project. Some of the other very notable contractors who are very well known throughout the food industry are CFR, GEA, Tetra Pak, Los, Zepnik, and Milmek are key parts of this project. Each one of them, when we did the bid, ended up with a section of the plant. The plant was so large that we didn't feel comfortable having just one processor take on the whole lot. So we touched on some of the milk metrics, and here's a little bit more on the product volumes and a few pictures to kind of give you the scale and the magnitude of this facility. It is one of the largest cheese manufacturing facilities in the United States. We have one other larger in Clovis, New Mexico that processes about 14 million pounds of milk a day that's larger than this facility. When we designed this plant, as I mentioned, it was kind of a carbon copy of that facility, and we designed this plant with expansion in mind. So Dave is going to come up. Again, huge thanks to Dave. He doesn't look too bad for a guy of 29, I'd say.
Yeah, so hey, good afternoon. As George says, I'm David North, and I'm the guy retiring in 3 days' time. So just so we're going. So, hey, so what I'm going to do is tell you some of the numbers from the construction. We mentioned it was 429,000 square feet. And some of the good parts there is we did something like 4.5 miles of site utilities. The numbers are sort of just mind-blowing in places. So it's predominantly a tilt-up, so precast concrete tilt-up. 2,100 of those parts brought in, sequenced in, again, through Shamba and their teams. And some of the nice touches is that when they make the precast, they cast a lot of the utilities within those precasts, so we don't see them on the walls. We get a very, very clean look to the inside of the factory. It's a nice way of doing it. And likewise with embeds. So we've got something like 3,100 embeds, stainless steel embeds built into those precasts, so that then we bring in the pipe racking, we just bring it in, we lift it up. When I say we, well, Shamba, you know what I'm saying here, but so bring it in, lift it to the ceiling, and it just drops in really sweet, so it makes for a very good, clean construction. Some of the utility metrics. So something like 21 miles of utility piping. It's all done using the CAD system that George touched on earlier. So again, you can see up front what it's like and how it all goes together, you know. So 6,000 or 60,000 pounds of ammonia. So that was the one that we had to get our heads around and make sure we get that right, because ammonia plants, and we need refrigeration, but they're a real energy burner if you don't get it right. So they put a really good, highly efficient ammonia plant room within the main building. And then so some electrics, what's going on there? So 11 3,000 amp services. So they're all distributed around the site so that we can keep the copper runs as short as we can, again, keeping it effective, keeping it efficient. I think it's the one that gets me is like, 2,500 light fixtures. Again, energy efficient, because again, when you turn on 2,500 light bulbs, it burns electricity. So again, all the time we're trying to figure out how we keep it all sort of under control and very effective and efficient. So powder packaging. So we basically, as George says, we make a WPC and a WPI product, so we haven't got too many variations, but we're trying to get it done in a tighter form as possible. So we're going to give it either in 20 kg bags or in 1,000 kg totes. And again, we like to do it within we're manufacturing 24 hours a day, but we like to package during just for 12 hours a day because it makes it more effective and easier for the labor force to be where we need to be. Sustainability, we touched on sustainability earlier, but so the wastewater. Wastewater is always going to be a big issue we got, and we took a slightly different approach to our wastewater, how we did it. So we split the streams from the high strength CLD, low strength, and we did that through either anaerobic or aerobic digester system. So it allows us not to be over-processing the clearer water. So it allows us with a very small footprint to have a very effective, very efficient wastewater treatment plant. Michigan, like everyone else now, the tolerances that you've got when you're discharging are very tight, so we don't have any sort of mishaps. It's a very nice system. Likewise with heat from the pasteurizer. So it's about heat recovery. So we'll take the heat from our whey pasteurizers and transfer that across to our milk pasteurizers and vice versa. So there's no wasted heat in any part of the process. We touched on the motors. We've got something like 1,500 motors, of which 90% of those are highly efficient, and 90% of those are on VFDs. So we can tune every single motor to be just the right amount of power that we need or the speed that we need. So again, no wasted energy. These are some fun facts. 28 miles of utility pipes. You see, if anyone of those are Back to the Future fans, tell me that's not a flux capacitor. I kid you, just so you know. So 451 miles of building wire, 61 miles of motor cables, and so it goes on. I think Joyce said like 25% of all the milk produced in Michigan coming to one plant. It's the bit that still blows our mind, and it's just a great partnership with the farmers. We're right there. We have a great relationship with the farmers, and you know how much they were hurting for a number of years prior to this plant being built. So it was great to have that on board. And then, thank you. This is actually one of our whey teams. The bit that people don't, we touched on the pandemic, but you guys have probably felt the same as what we have, but to be able to build a plant on time, and in budget through the pandemic, and train the folks. We did something like 40,000 hours of training prior to even going onto the site. So it was an absolute logistic nightmare, but it just worked. It was just a great satisfaction.
Gentlemen, I'd like to congratulate you on a fantastic project. Thank you for having me out to the plant. Dan, I'd like to congratulate you on a great project with MWC. Congratulations to all the employees of Shambaugh and all the employees of MWC on our Manufacturing Innovation Award winner. Thank you, gentlemen.